I first saw Stanley Kubrick's science fiction epic 2001: A Space Odyssey in the summer of that year. I can't recall what instigated this, but I remember renting the VHS from Blockbuster and being shocked by the G rating. Needless to say, I wasn't prepared for it. My first watch went about as well as it could for a 13-year-old. The lengthy sequences without sound or dialogue bored me, the purposefully static images were tedious, and the last 15 minutes left me confused, to say the least. In the coming years, the film wouldn't leave my mind. I'd tell myself, no, you watched that, you didn't like it. But that didn't matter. I found myself drawn to it, like an addict to a drug they just can't quit. With the availability of DVD increasing, I got my hands on a copy, and with this viewing, I gleaned much more. The deeper themes and the implications Kubrick was trying to communicate became clearer. A few years later, I watched the film a third time, and it finally struck all the right chords with me. 2001 is without a doubt one of the most revered films ever made, but it isn't without detractors. The most common criticisms regarding the film are generally similar to mine on the initial viewing. Kubrick's pacing is glacial, the edits are methodical, the frames are painstakingly symmetrical, and the sound design is often so relaxing it can put you to sleep. When 2001 is viewed through the lens of entertainment, it's understandable that some will find it an overhyped bore. But this film isn't just mere amusement meant to pass the time. It's an allegory for all of humanity, and it's proved a shockingly accurate warning for our meddling tendencies. Publishing a dissertation on 2001 today feels a tad unnecessary, given that searching the phrase 2001: A Space Odyssey analysis garners over 1 million search results. Fans, critics, and scholars have been discussing this film for decades. There's no shortage of information about it on the web, so odds are much of this has been said already. But seeing as this month is its 50th anniversary, and this is one of my most requested reviews, I've got a lot to say. But this will not be an explained video, I assure you. There's plenty of those on this platform already. Of course, I'll discuss my thoughts on the meaning of certain sequences, but this isn't meant to be a scene-by-scene analysis of what every goddamn thing means. Because this quote from Roger Ebert has stuck with me in regards to this film. Audiences don't like simple answers, I guess. They want the monolith to stand for something. Well, it does. It stands for a monolith without an explanation. It's the fact that man can't explain it that makes it interesting. If Kubrick had explained it, perhaps by having some little green men from Mars lower it into place, would that have been satisfactory? Does everything need an explanation? Some people think so. I wonder how they endure looking at the stars. Yes, under the surface, 2001's story could be explained in many different ways. Our evolution, our discovery of tools, how we instantly turned that tool into a weapon, how we've become so powerful that we've lost control of our tools, and how in space we're like infants once more, learning to walk, eat, and even use the bathroom in this new environment. Kubrick gave us much to appreciate in every wondrous frame, but that has always been secondary for me. It's really the feeling I get while watching this film that outshines everything else. 2001 is the closest experience I've had to feeling hypnotized. Kubrick's editing is methodical, yes, but it's really the sound design. The use of Richard Strauss's Also Sprach Zarathustra, the now iconic composition that plays at integral parts, or even the breathing sounds in the silent depths of space, supposedly recorded by Kubrick himself, all put me in a trance. From the beginning of the film, the images of a desolate early African landscape immediately lock me into a sense of wonder and awe. Through a quick series of scenes, we understand that early man is preyed on and lives in fear. Before long, the mysterious monolith appears, terrifying them at first, before eventually enticing them. Not long after, we see one of them fiddling around with a pile of bones, discovering that it can be used as a tool. Soon enough, some of them are walking on two legs, scaring away another group, even killing one of them. His tool has become a weapon. He throws it into the air, and perhaps the most famous edit in history occurs. We jump forward drastically in time, observing space travel. But what are we cutting to? A spaceship? A satellite? A nuclear weapon? Opinions vary, with even Kubrick himself never confirming. Many figures behind the film's production have said that it is a nuclear device of some sort. If so, Kubrick's cut from man's first primitive weapon to its most advanced and deadly is profound. These effects still astonish 50 years later, and similar to what George Lucas accomplished 9 years after Kubrick, they will be timeless forever. Hell, there's still conspiracy theories surrounding Kubrick's involvement in faking the footage of the moon landing. That's gotta be the ultimate compliment for visual effects artists. Your work is so good, NASA probably called you up to fabricate the moon landing. Soon we're on a Jupiter mission with Dave, Frank, and HAL 9000. While the story here becomes more straightforward, it's really the implications Kubrick explores that feel most unique. HAL 9000, for instance, tests Frank while playing chess with him, in a way cheating. When Frank fails to realize this, HAL decides the crew isn't up to the task of this mission and takes over. Our creations have finally overpowered us. All our knowledge and advancement. For what? To have a machine control our lives? How right Kubrick was. There has been much discussion about the final 20 minutes. Dave appears to enter a Stargate or wormhole, arriving in a room. The room appears to be a sterile cage of sorts, as if something wishes to observe him. In a series of cuts, he gets older, before finally, the monolith appears again. Dave extends his hand to it like Michelangelo's famous painting of Adam reaching for God. While Kubrick was notoriously tight-lipped, he did have this to say about 2001. On the deepest psychological level, the film's plot symbolizes the search for God, and it finally postulates what is little less than a scientific definition of God. The film revolves around this metaphysical conception, and the realistic hardware and the documentary feelings about everything were necessary in order to undermine your built-in resistance to the poetical concept. When Dave is reborn as the Star Child, we're seeing a new dawn, an entity that doesn't need our technological devices to survive in this uncharted space. Just as the film opened with ancient life, the film closes with new life, with rich possibilities ahead of it. Most people who sit down in a movie theater have a wall built around them. It's a well-deserved cage of skepticism. If it's their goal to connect emotionally with these viewers or impart a deeper message, it's the filmmaker's job to carefully break down that wall before their film ends. While not every filmmaker accomplishes this, Kubrick certainly did with 2001. Its warnings to us have been proven accurate, forever timely, and strikingly relevant still today. But beyond the metaphors, its technical achievement is still awe-inspiring. Truly, 2001 is the closest I've come to experiencing literal hypnotism from a film. That sensation will never be recreated.